Good morning, you hearty souls. Thank you for being here at 9 a.m. on the last day of the show. We know that some folks definitely have treated this like their first trade show ever, and we'd like to see the professionals here. So good to have you. Welcome back to the last day of PDMI West. We have a great set of sessions this afternoon, or this morning and this afternoon, starting here with this group that Chris Snyder from Shopify has pulled together with two tremendous marketers, telling you a story about how to build the e-commerce store of your dreams. First off, though, I have to thank our education sponsor, once again, Mojo, for sponsoring the events of the last couple days. Greg Silvano from Mojo has a quick message for everyone here, and we'll get to that right now.
Before the session begins, I'd just like to say that Mojo is a very proud sponsor of the education series. We hope you go to every session, ask lots of questions, and learn new things. Enjoy your day. We'll see you soon.
Once again, thank you to Greg for this, for his support, and thank you to Chris and Katrina and Vashti. Thank you for being here. Take it away.
All right. It's one hell of a big Zoom call. Look at this thing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Thank everybody for trusting and kind of braving to come back out in person again. It's been a long time. Feels like, I don't know, 10 years or something since we've all been together in rooms this size with multiple people. Kind of crazy. Really appreciate everyone coming out this morning and joining us. Want to take a minute and introduce our guests today. So, I'm Chris. We talked about that. I'll talk more about myself in a minute. But I'll turn it over to these two, and they're going to tell you a little bit about themselves, their brands, their businesses, why they're who they are, and all of this kind of cool stuff. Kat, let's start with you.
Cool. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Katrina. I own a business called Crystal Bar Soap. We manufacture bath and body products, and I sell everything online, and I have from the beginning since I started my business back in 2015. So Instagram, social media, and then Shopify has become a big part of how I run my business, and I'm excited to share with you my 7-year journey in the e-commerce industry and how I got to where I am today.
Awesome. Thank you. That's beautiful. Hi, everyone. My name is Vashti. I am the founder of Amalfii, a minimalist lifestyle brand in Los Angeles. I was telling Chris, actually, I came across the Shopify LA store in 2017, right when I quit my job, when I took the leap of faith. So yeah, I'm excited to tell you guys all of the things that I wish I knew from the beginning and where we kind of needed help and also where we are now. So I'm excited. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. They're a little humble because they're both self-made. This isn't, they kind of leave that part out about all the hard work of building the stores themselves and getting everything built themselves and funded and, getting started. And that's really the hard part of it all. It's not about necessarily a Shopify thing or a marketing thing. Sometimes it is a matter of just rolling up your sleeves and getting started. Now, we're here to talk a little bit about, titles is building the store of your dreams, their dreams. But I want to pull the curtain back a little bit because it's easy to talk about how to build a store. And probably everyone here at some point has built a website or an e-commerce store, tinkered around with it a little bit. And it's not the most difficult thing in the world to sit down and build a really basic website or building a really basic store. But it's not always easy to understand what someone like these two have gone through to build it themselves from the beginning. And we lose that. I mean, I do this for a living, right? A lot of us may do this for a living. Maybe we do marketing for a living, or we're developers and designers, and it's what we do. But truly, we're in the business of helping them reach their goals and dreams, whether that's marketing or building sites and stores and photography or whatever it is we're doing. And we just forget sometimes how hard it is to get started and not understanding what they don't know and what pain points there are and where the struggles are. We just think, oh yeah, it's everybody. Everybody knows how to do this. So I want to peel back the curtain a little bit, and we're going to talk about all the different steps along the way, just as I was presenting to a group of, new merchants and getting started. But let's twist it around a little bit, and let's talk about some of these things that are challenging, because this is where so many people start. They get a trial, right? Great, I got a business. I'm going to start a business today. I got a free trial on Shopify, ready to go. They're excited. They come to the admin over here. And this is where, you were both here, right? What do you do next? Like, you're here. What happens now?
The first thing that I felt when I saw this page, I was like, what am I doing? So the first thing that I did, luckily, like I said, the Shopify store was in LA. I was able to physically go in and make an appointment with a one-on-one tech. So I was able to physically go in and get help. I honestly don't even know where I was gonna start. So luckily I had that advantage that you guys just opened.
Yeah, so many don't, and they just kind of plug through that, and they kind of, I don't want to say they fumble their way through it, but they kind of work their way through this, clicking on things until they find something that they kind of understand what it is, and they start kind of working in that bit of an area, right? They start kind of, well, I guess I know what products are. I'll start working with products a little bit. Or I've heard about a theme. Maybe I'll start working with a theme. Maybe they came across a YouTube video someplace, or maybe, someone on Facebook told them that they'd make them $1 million in 2 days if they just followed their course. And so they sent them some money and they did that. But most of them, one way or another, they wound up on the theme store, trying to figure out what the hell is this thing? What is a theme? And, people say that buying a paid theme, this is going to make me $1 million. These are paid themes, got to be better than free themes, right? I mean, that just makes sense. Then they get here. And again, you were both here, and I remember the first time I saw this, and I thought, they all kind of look the same. They all have pictures, and don't they all do the same thing? I'm just trying to sell some stuff. This all kind of looks the same to me. But what's the difference with free and paid, and what's the difference with all these different things? And do I got to pick the industry? If I'm selling beauty products, do I got to stick within what it says here? I mean, how does all this really work? And this was somewhere that a lot of merchants get stuck. A lot of people first starting out, they get stuck. They start Googling best free theme Shopify, best theme Shopify, fastest theme Shopify. And they get a ton of people trying to sell them things. Now, as people working, in fields trying to help people build stores and help people, get started and meet their dreams and goals, this is one of the areas of opportunity for all of us, is to really help start guiding them to what's really and truly important early on. Most people don't understand that 90% of what's on that page right there, 90% of what's on that theme is completely customizable. They get hung up on fonts and colors and, the pictures on the top and the things on the bottom, and they don't know that you can just change all that. There's no code or anything, you just drag it around, right? It's super easy, but they don't know that. So they pick the theme because, this one has the picture on the top, and that's what I want. And so they build their entire store based on something that is kind of trivial and kind of pointless and easily is changed.
Yeah.
And I think, is that what you did? I mean, how did you pick your first theme?
Well, my first theme, so I started with an Etsy store, and then I went to Squarespace, which that was a easy transition. And then Squarespace just didn't really have the customization options that I wanted, and that's how I stumbled across Shopify. And I remember just wanting my Squarespace store and my Shopify store to look exactly the same. I didn't want my customers to know I made that transition.
Yeah.
So in looking for our first theme, I just wanted something that looked exactly the same. I swapped it over. And then over the course of a few years, I started to slowly make changes with the theme I had. And then I wanted to go bigger and different and elevated and rebrand and do the whole thing. And it's funny now because you are right. When you first go to the store, you look at the theme that's there and the photos, and you're like, I want my store to look like that. But now that I'm more experienced in the industry, when I go through and I'm clicking through all these, I don't even care what image is on there or what is being sold as the template. I'm looking for how is my customer gonna engage in it? Is the drop-down menu here? What's the product page look like? How is this laid out? And I can fully ignore the visuals of how the theme is set up, and I'm just looking at how can I customize it to make it match my needs? And that's the first thing I look for now.
And as people start talking to experts and agencies and reaching out to other people, I don't think they realize that, maybe they should consider the menu type. Where's the menu location? I mean, we all know that trying to move a menu, if you have a top menu, you want to change the side menu, that's like moving all 4 load-bearing walls in your house simultaneously. It's not the easiest and most advisable thing to do. Fonts, pictures, colors,
That's
all that
easy.
stuff, it's so easy.
Yeah.
But there's nothing, and this is part of Shopify's fault. I'll take ownership of this. We don't say that. It doesn't say that in the theme store. We have 1,000 menu options and 1,000 filters and features, but there's really nothing to help guide anyone to make the best decision for themselves. And again, I think that's where, as agencies and partners and experts and people that work in the field of helping others, we really have an opportunity to help them make wise decisions for themselves. The next one that comes up, if they're not too overwhelmed by the themes, if they're not just completely, hands in the air, pulling out their hair by the time they're dealing with a theme store, are products. A lot of times they'll find themselves going, okay, well, I'm not sure about the theme. I picked one that looks good, or I just kept the default theme in my store because, it was there and it's got to be decent enough for now. So they wind up going with products. Now, fortunately, most people have some idea what they're going to sell, at least in my experience when I've been working with them. They have some type of product that they want to upload, and they at least are in a decent place to do this. Now, this is a place where it gets really controversial, and I get so much crap from merchants and entrepreneurs, and it's probably deserved, but I think they misunderstand kind of the reasoning behind it. We've all been here. This couldn't be any simpler, right? If we start this whole wash, rinse, repeat process, super simple, but then we get to this template. And again, you've both seen this. You probably both hate this. Everyone kind of hates this. We all know that it's extremely basic and limiting. And, the things you can do with it are basic at best, right? You want more, and so you wind up using an app. Or this is
Tons of apps.
a lot of times the first place you start looking at either getting an app or maybe hiring someone to do something custom for you. So, about us pages and product pages and some of these kinds of things. Do you either use an app or had anything custom done with this?
Yes. For me, I use a few different apps for this part of the product to convert sales and also to suggest. There's so many different things that you can do. But mind you, this is over a year or so after I've had the store. So once I realized it's a simple app or little tweaks just to be able to convert or to be able to retarget, I'm like, I wish I knew this in the beginning when I had all of this traffic, but okay, let's start that now.
Yeah.
And it's really simple fixes as well, You can even see if someone's purchasing in real time just by using an app. There's so many different ways to retain sales and retarget. But I wish I knew that from the beginning.
We keep this template. We'll see it again and again. We keep this template because it lowers the bar of entry, right? I mean, essentially, if you can build add a product, you can add a collection, you can add a About Us page, you can create a blog. It's the same template over and over again. So you only have to learn one skill for someone who's starting out. Makes it really simple for that person who's just starting out. However, very quickly, just like you just said, you want more. And suddenly you're thinking, well, I need more. I need conversions. And, do I get an app? Do I have a partner? Where am I at? Funding is an issue. Sometimes hiring people, where do I go? Do I go on Fiverr and just kind of roll the dice and maybe get someone that, well, who knows what you're going to get? How do I find an expert that's going to help me? Do I need a developer or a designer? Where do I go to find them? Is it the right move? Do I just get a new theme? Where do I really go and how do I do all this? And again, another opportunity for us who are helping people kind of make on this journey. It's an opportunity for us to help guide them into this next step. People who are beyond this initial, I got a store, it's up and running, it's open, but I need to take these next steps. I need something a little bit more. As we move through these things, another one that really becomes very evident is that most merchants, most entrepreneurs, as they're starting especially, don't do a great job with copy. We all know that. Copywriting is hard. It's equal parts art and science. It's not something most of us are gifted with from birth. We just kind of work our way through it, and hopefully we get better with time. Hopefully we get to the point where we can strategically write something that strategically persuades someone to actually take some kind of action, buy something, click this. But we don't do it always in the meta descriptions. We don't always go all the way down the page. We don't always do the entire thing.
And that's so key because that's where all your SEO traffic is going to come from. If you miss those little key points of even just embedding coding into the photos that are on my store, that is the big reason why my photos show up on Google and Pinterest. And I don't even think Shopify does a really good job at giving merchants the SEO tools that they need.
We automatically copy your product description into your meta descriptions, because if not, 90% of them would be blank,
Yeah.
Right.
which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
Crazy.
How did you find out about the need to do that, about alt text and embedding these things for your images?
Well, luckily my ex-boyfriend was really into it, so I learned from him. But once I got all the information, I left him, and now I know it for myself.
So
No, just
these,
kidding.
again, these are just things that we like to think that everyone who builds a store is just easy to build a store, but we really say, here's step 5. Go
Yeah.
launch a business, go build a store, go be successful. But truthfully, most people don't know how to do it.
But I think it's kind of a beautiful thing of the entrepreneurship journey is that you start not knowing anything and you get onto these platforms that are made for beginners. And those that find that beginning stage very intimidating, like they tend to retreat. And yes, getting them into it will be helpful, and that's why it is so easy.
Right.
But for those that want more, that crave more, that want that beautiful site, like it is easy to find the information. It is easy to figure out how to code. It is easy to figure out how to plug in an app. It is easy to work with an expert to elevate your site to the next level, to find those cool themes. So even though it is simple at the beginning, there is so many tools out there to help you grow, and you can learn along the way. So I don't think it's a bad thing that
I
it's
agree.
so simple.
I think there is an expectation as entrepreneurs that you're going to have to learn. There's going to have to be an educational component to your journey. You're going to have to continue to learn. And to think that I'm going to launch a store today, I'm going to chuck it up online, remove that password, and suddenly it's all going to be gravy. Everyone's going to come, sales are going to come, money's going to roll in, and I don't need to learn anything. I'm just going to sit back, retire, drink pina coladas by the pool, and we're all good. That's just not reality.
Yeah.
There's so much to learn. It never really stops. And those resources that are out there, look, we all know what's out there, right? We know how much misinformation and crap is floating around on YouTubes and the Facebooks and these self-proclaimed people that are going to make you a millionaire overnight. If you just send them $150 in the next 24 hours, they'll be happy to do that for you. Just send them a check really quickly. And they make a living doing this. But there's those of us who literally spend our entire lives trying to legitimately help small businesses, big businesses, get more traffic, have better websites, improve their SEO, have better looking websites, improve user experience, whatever it may be. I come across stores all the time, and I have no idea why this is, that don't have collections, for example. You go to their homepage, and it's just 1,000 random products just chucked together in random chaos. I don't know who shops that way.
Yeah, and it really took a friend of mine who does marketing and said, if something's not moving, you can do different collections, reshoot it, and
Right.
he was literally explaining to me, he gave me a checklist, like, first of all, like, have essentials, have things. Right now people are literally in the house, for example. He just told me that recently too. He's like, you can make collections like at home. He's like, if your product is not moving, there's different ways to create collections to literally do that. And even just that simple fixing of making the collections for like at home, going back into the office, making different collections just like that. On the homepage, simple. And I'm like, that would have been nice to know.
We're very attached to our stores, right? They're our babies. We worked on them and we kind of nurtured them and brought them to life. And sometimes we're just too close. And we just don't step back and realize that we're not looking at it like a customer looks at it. We got everything on there. We uploaded our 1,000 products. We have product descriptions. We've done everything we should have done. But it's just not the way someone shops in our store. And sometimes it does take someone outside to say, you know what? This isn't a great experience for me. It's just not the way I shop. This isn't the way when I go to Target or any other shopping experience in my life, this just isn't good. And frankly, most people don't look in their analytics and things early on in their journey. So they're not going to pick these things up.
Yeah.
So it takes someone to really point it all out. Collections are a huge part of this. And going through these things, they don't realize the different ways they can do collections. Just like you pointed out, they think it's got to be men's and women's. Very simple, vanilla, black and white, whatever. They don't realize you can do it by price point, you can do it by colors, you can do it by style, you can do it by damn near anything you want to do it. It should be unique to the business and the brand. There's so many ways to set your store apart from everyone else's if you just be a little bit creative. Think outside the box. Think about how we shop, how we want to shop, how you would want to shop in your own store. This one is done by price point, right? We're coming up on the holidays, so products less than $30.
Right.
Easy.
even if you don't want that to be part of your site's branding too, like I could set this up on my site, have an active collection, and not have it as a main link on my site.
Right.
But when someone searches it in my search bar, these collections will show up. So on my site, I have over like 500 products. I'm not gonna have that all promoted on the main page, but if someone searches a keyword, I can plug that into the description, the title, the products that are hidden in different collections too, and that will appear. So when customers come to my site looking for something, I can make those needs easier for them to.
And I think what happens sometimes is we think about hiring, I'm gonna hire a developer to help me add code to my site and customize my page, right? And there's never an educational component to it in our, that's our perception of it. It's gonna be that I'm gonna hire you for a task, you're gonna do this one task and we're all done. Unfortunately, we forget that these experts are experts. They are someone who we can really gain a lot of insight and education and knowledge from if we just take the time to ask a few questions, if we just take the time to really say, hey, what can I do better here? What other suggestions maybe do you have? And it's not a sales pitch. It's just simply, these are people who literally spend their entire lives working, doing this same kind of thing for lots of other stores. It's just the perception is they're gonna try and sell me more stuff. Well, maybe, but it also may be because they see what works over and over and over and over again. So why not listen?
Yeah.
About us pages. I see stores every day. I do 4 or 5 webinars a day, and certainly any given time, probably sit down with merchants one-on-one, 2 or 3 a day. There's probably not a week goes by I don't find a store that doesn't have an About Us page. And these aren't like new stores. These are stores that are been around for a year, 2 years, 3 years. No context about who they are, what they do, why they exist, why I should give a damn, anything about them. It's just, they just don't care. It's just not something they think is important to their business, their brand, or anything else. And you just wonder, where was the education piece missed? Did they never talk to an expert? Did they never talk to a developer? Did they never reach out and speak to anybody to get any kind of knowledge or insight about what I should have on my business, on my website, on my page? What are the important web pages to have, let alone how to build it, make it look good? Just what should I even have? Getting it to look good and be functional and engaging and all that is a whole separate conversation. Both of you have About Us pages, obviously, and it's something you update constantly. It's constantly changing and evolving, and it's awesome. But this is another big pain point. So many people don't like the template for the About Us page, right? Or the policies, there's some more.
Because that's not what it looks like when you write it. If you type it out, it's just going to be flat text.
Right.
So it never looks pretty.
It takes a lot. You can format it. It is a challenge, but you're right. That template is.
I used to cringe when I saw it. I was like, "Oh."
Yeah. So
It took 4
what do you
tries.
do?
And that's like people don't have it. This is the About Me, and it's like the worst looking page on your site.
Right.
Like I would not want that.
It was cringeworthy.
Yeah.
It took 4 tries until I finally was like, okay, this is fine. I'm finally content here.
Yeah.
But it literally is something that it took a while, and it took 2 different web developers before I finally got it to where I'm like, sigh of relief. Like I actually feel comfortable if someone looks at this now.
Yeah, I agree. It is a place that I think the web pages are a place where hiring an expert to help with the copy, to help with the look and the layout and something that is custom and representative of your brand, at some point makes a lot of sense.
And the biggest part about the About Us as well is that when people are reaching out to you, even when it came down to PR, they're just copying and pasting what you have there.
Yeah.
So you eventually, when you Google yourself, you'll start seeing the old versions of the About Us, and it's cringeworthy. That's from the beginning, I wish it was something that I liked.
Yeah.
And it stays out there, right?
Yeah,
Out there forever.
it does,
It
true.
never doesn't really disappear. I agree. And then this is what you wind up with, right? You wind up with this same template. We've seen it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And at what point do you move away from it? Is it something you think new business owners, if you're going to build a site, start a new business today, would this be something you'd do in the beginning, from day one?
From day one, I would have gotten expert help from the beginning. Like I told you, it still pops up on Google, all of these things. It doesn't really just go away. So from the beginning, I wish I hired someone.
Let's talk about experts for a second. Would we be looking at, you're starting a brand, you're launching it today. Money is always a thing, right? We know funding is a challenge. Would you be looking for someone to build your site? Would you be looking for marketing help? Would you be looking for SEO help or copy help? Or what kind of expert would you be looking for in these early stages?
In the early stage, I have so much knowledge now of how to build a site. Like, I built myself from scratch now, but I think it would be so nice to sit down with someone and really clearly think about the way the brand looks. Because when I first built my brand, you just start with one page at a time. And then as you evolve, your first page that you did and your last page you did are not the same brand anymore. And then you don't even realize, and I sit on my site all the time, and it takes so much time. I look at my site all day long, and I'm so upset that I just don't have enough time to make it look the way I want it to look. And I haven't hired help, or I don't have another person to help me, which this whole talk is making me think that I really should sit down with someone. But having a cohesive brand, because when someone comes to your site, you don't know what page they're gonna go to first. Are they going to your shop? Are they going to your About Us page? Are they going to look at payment options? Like, you don't know.
We know that About Us pages are getting clicked on more and more each time. It's an increasing trend.
Yeah, customers are becoming very aware of who they're buying from, what kind of people they are. Yeah.
It's just a
And
different
everybody has a different skill set, right? I mean, our marketing team, Shopify, they're great folks. They handed me a new list of colors that we got to use in our new templates and everything. I can't figure out how to use them. I put them together. They look ugly to me. I don't know how to make them all mix and match. I can't make it all work. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
There are people that are experts in things for a reason, and I just think it's absolutely foolish for us to dismiss experts because, I don't want to spend the money. I don't think it's worth spending money on someone who really is good at what they're doing. Instead, I'm going to try and hack it together, and then I'm going to build my future, my business based on this thing I'm going to try and kind of hack together.
And that's the thing,
tough.
brand awareness from the beginning is
Yeah.
key. I think we initially go into it thinking that once I start getting some sales, then I can do this. Once I start making money from this, then I'll be able to. And honestly, what I realized looking back is that had I went into it this is the part that I'll invest in first, even before really putting a lot of inventory and investing into that. This is something that I wish I knew from the beginning. All of the SEO, everything, it was so important. And I just honestly thought it was something that would come with time. People will start seeing that I exist. So all of this will just naturally all marry together, when from the beginning it was something that I really should have sought help with.
It's a good point. I think a lot of times we look at an expert and say, I don't have $500 to spend right now. But maybe we should think about it as I don't have $500 to lose, because if you're going to open that business and I'm going to hack together your color scheme and I'm going to hack together your SEO and you're not going to have any traffic or sales, you're just going to be sitting there not selling anything for 6 months or a year until eventually you're probably going to spend that money anyhow. And by then you've paid fees and you've probably gone through a ton of Facebook ad money and all these other things.
You're just throwing money at the wall.
You could have probably
literally.
paid for someone good in the beginning.
Even little details, making little tiny customizations on my site and plugging in my own HTML coding, and then you switch your theme, that coding no longer fits.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I've switched my theme and my entire site is broken now. And now I'm faced with having to hire an expert to help me figure out what kind of spaghetti noodle mess my site is in, because I did it the affordable way.
Right.
I did what I had to, but now I'm lucky enough to have expert help that can come and laugh at what I did and fix it and make it beautiful.
It's important. It is. And, I don't want to move on to blogs really quick. Blogs are another thing that we have a template that everyone hates, right? I'll own this one as well.
Yeah.
However, with this same template, you can have a decent looking blog, and everyone should have some type of blogs. And we all understand, I think, the value of SEO benefit and content marketing. We all understand the importance of having this kind of content out there in the world. We hear a ton of excuses about, I don't have time to do it, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to write, I can't come up with 10,000 words to write today because I got to put up a blog every day, or some unrealistic cadence. There's so much that gets said about blogs that is just missing the mark, right? either of you do blogs? And if so, how frequently? What is your strategy like? And what do you use in terms of a template? And
What's so funny is, for me, I honestly was one of those people, I was like, oh, I'm not a blogger. Like, why do I need a blog? And I really just totally skipped that for the first year until I had an influencer and she said, you know, I can literally tie in these outfits that I'm wearing and create like a blog about like how I'm styling it, where I'm going, because a lot of girls who are on Pinterest, that's how they come across these outfits. So she was like, if you don't mind, I can just do like a little write-up and put it. And honestly, once I saw the actual traffic coming in from the blogs, like it comes, literally retargets through Pinterest, and even with Instagram, it all kind of marries in together as well. So it gives your brand a story and it gives your brand like a soul as well. So that was also something, once I saw the money coming in from that, I'm like, okay, yeah, let's just keep this going.
it also lets Google know you're alive and your business is open and things are happening. And I mean,
It gives it life.
There's a lot of pros to it. Some of you may have heard this story. I lived in Cambodia for 3 years, which sounds crazy. And I brought my dogs to Cambodia, which was even crazier. But I couldn't figure out how to get my dogs there. If you start trying to Google things, trying to look it up, all the different quarantine requirements and shots and vets, and it's all in Khmer. And none of it made any sense to me. I just Googling random searches in Google, like one does, of course, when you're trying to do something major in your life. And I came across a blog of a woman who was really, really upset about a construction site that before had grass, and she was able to walk her dog in that construction site, and now they fenced it off to do construction. Had nothing to do with what I was looking for, nothing to do with anything other than she lived in Cambodia and she had a dog. But I reached out to her because I was pretty desperate at that point. Turns out she was able to direct me to a vet in the agency and was able to get me all the information. She had a small business in Cambodia. I was a customer of hers for 3 years. We became, friends and shopped in her business while I was there, all because of a random blog that she had done and Google put it all together. I mean, blogs are incredibly powerful and useful tools. They don't have to be 50,000 words. In fact, probably shouldn't be. Who the hell is going to read a 50,000 word blog of a business you've never heard of and don't know? Right,
and it gets them coming back, and that's the whole part of retargeting, is that you want it to be organic as well, not just paid. So that gives someone a reason to come back and eventually add to cart.
I agree. People get confused on what a blog is and what a blog post is as well. They think that, they don't quite understand that formatting. I mean, I'm old school, right? I'm an old guy. So that blog is like the LA Times, and the posts are like the articles within there. I mean, it's a pretty simple concept to me, thinking of it that way, but again, I see people that are creating a new blog every day instead of blog posts within the same blog. And the whole idea of how to do it, I think, goes back to having that template that isn't really great, having the feature not really explained, and not really understanding the purpose of it, how to create it, where to create it, and what to do with it once they do create it.
And you can have like multiple blogs too. Like I have a blog for like what you expect a blog to be, but I also have a blog that's my ingredients because we manufacture products. So when you go onto my site, instead of having every ingredient listed, it's just click here for ingredients. It links you to the ingredient blog.
Yeah.
And then there's an article about every single ingredient, what's its purpose, where it comes from, how we source it. And it gives my customers so much education on what's in their products.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't expect that to be a blog. I even think the word blog doesn't even do a good job of what it is anymore. Like, how we associate that word.
At what point would you hire a marketing agency or a firm to do your blogging for you?
Well, I'm trying to move to a new warehouse, and honestly, the second I get to move, I want to hire people to do all of that because it is, especially with Pinterest.
Yes.
Like that blog and Pinterest goes
literally
so
go
hand in hand,
together.
and is like a second Instagram
It is.
traffic.
I'm in the middle of actually literally rebranding my site as well. It's a 6-month process.
Yeah.
So I'm literally just heavily invested into the new site as well.
And once you do that content, even going to like LinkedIn, like we forget about LinkedIn. It's such a huge platform for an entire different range of customers that just gets missed out. And linking that blog onto that page that's all you would have to do.
The other thing that gets overlooked on websites is sadly the navigation, right? We do all this work on product pages and collections and all these other things, but then we just kind of think about the very basics of navigation and a menu and how to build them and how to title them and how to even create them and what to link them to and all these different kinds of things to it. I've seen menus that literally are just right out of the box about us, no creativity, no branding, no thought giving to it. And then there's others that are really well thought out. And every menu title ties back into the branding. It ties back into the copy. Everything is linked together. It makes sense. And then, of course, there's others that have 75,000 menu topics in there, and you're scrolling through trying to figure out what the hell to do and where to go to it. Adding a menu is one of the easiest things, right? It's maybe adding a menu feature is one of the simplest things to do.
Yeah.
But at what point, do you have a strategy, I guess is my question, for when you create a menu item? Are you looking at your copy? Are you looking at your branding? Are you trying to keep a tone with it? Or are you just trying to be very basic and communicate what it is in as simple and clear and concise of terms as possible?
For me personally, I'm literally in the middle, like I said, of rebranding everything for the website. And I'm actually creating the menu to break into mind, body, and soul. And the reason why I'm doing that is to show Amalfii as more of a lifestyle. So Mind will have different links for like free therapy, having different things as far as like wellness goes. So you can tie in to what you want people to think of you, instead of me just having only it be about clothing, because truly it's not.
Right.
And the way to voice that without explaining it like I am right now is this way, through the menu items.
So it is more of a strategy and a conscious decision of what do you want to showcase in that theme, in that menu at the top, and kind of navigating them through that journey when they come and visit your site,
Right.
kind of giving them a roadmap of how to kind of navigate through your site.
That's
navigation.
very smart.
Yeah.
It's really cute.
thank you.
I like that.
I agree. And then we get into theme customization, right? And everyone thinks this is going to be the hardest part, but as both of you know, this is really probably the easiest part of the puzzle. It's finishing up that home page, right? It's drag and drop. It's like building a Facebook page, uploading pictures, putting in some copy, kind of crossing the T's, dotting the I's, this kind of thing. I saw a store yesterday, published online, running Facebook ads. That's what it looked like.
No
way.
Yeah. Sadly, they literally had the big gray box that said image with text overlay, published, proud, they've been open for a while. And of course, we're all guilty of not going back into our stores and looking at it as a customer sometimes, or not looking at a mobile view. We're all guilty of that. But that's just not okay, right? I mean, that's just not going to be an acceptable alternative. This part of it here, how often do you go back in and work with that
I look at it
homepage?
almost every other day. Like
Yeah?
I literally look at it. I'm obsessive. So I
Yeah.
look at it constantly, like at least every 2 days.
And what
personally.
are you using to inform this decision to make changes? Are you looking at data, bounce rates? Are you
Yeah.
just trying to keep it fresh because you have some kind of a content strategy? What are
Yeah.
you using to really make these decisions?
So for me personally, I have certain goals for the day. So if I'm seeing that it's dropping, or if there's a bounce rate for certain things, I'm literally looking at analytics. So I'm looking, and honestly, I am my brand. So I will literally fresh in the morning, look at my page and say, I'm kind of bored. Like honestly.
Yeah.
And so if I feel like that, and this is my baby, then more than likely the girl who just saw my Instagram picture that I posted 2 minutes ago, she probably feels a little bored too, and that's why she bounced. Mm-hmm. So I look like as a customer, because I am my brand, and see if I think, I'm kind of one of those people, like I like to change, I do get bored, so I feel like there's always something. And think about it, girls who do love your brand, they're looking at it constantly. So if you have the same thing every single time they click on, the homepage is exactly the same, it seems they're not really interested in even diving more into the categories. They're not interested in diving into really anything else. It's kind of like, same stuff, it's no point, and bounce,
This is where another place I think reaching out and talking to a professional who's experienced in marketing and helps you to understand a marketing strategy, a content strategy, when to change your images, when to be refreshing your website.
That would actually be a really cool feature for Shopify to add, is like, this hasn't been updated in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should look at it.
Yeah.
Like it would be nice, right? Like I was actually on my site, I think yesterday, and I had to search my own site for something because I wanted to see if it would come up. And I have a sidebar menu that has the template in it. For 7 years I've had this site, and I just found that. Wouldn't it be nice to be like, you have some
Suggestions?
Yeah, like red flag. Just want to let you know that you missed this when you're coding your site.
There's just so much out there, and there's so many experts, and I think one of the biggest crimes that, and Shopify is probably as guilty as anyone else perpetuating this, is that we don't use all of you. We don't reach out to people who are experienced, who are experts, who are knowledgeable, who have done the research, who have the experience in the field, who are up on the recent trends and really can help us do the best job we can do with our brands and our websites. And instead we go, I'll change up the homepage. And then maybe you check it tomorrow, maybe you check it next month or in 6 months, and you're like, that's probably time for a fresh. Instead of really having that content calendar or having some kind of a strategy or plan in place of, when am I going to change copy? Am I doing this seasonally, monthly? Am I doing it with some kind of a promotion? Is there some type of an overarching strategy behind it, or is it just, what the hell?
And that's
we'll
the
change
thing,
it.
is that you think that this is how it should start out. So you kind of go into it thinking that, this will change with time, versus I honestly wish that I saw like case studies, even with experts, like this is how this site, like literally, I like analytics. So if I would have even seen like an example from the beginning, like this person did this themselves, so you could go this way, but we watched this for 6 months, this were their analytics, this is how many visitors they had, but the moment that they decided to invest with us, this is what happened over the next year.
Yeah.
And literally, if I would have seen before and afters of a few different clients, I honestly would have been like, this is like an easy decision, So
I
really
know-
seeing the analytics like
I know with the
upfront,
larger
too.
agencies, it can be a challenge sometimes. They get into an agency and maybe the small businesses don't have the funding in the beginning to really sit down and have a brand strategy put in place, colors and logo and some kind of a very basic idea of how we want to launch this. What do you want this to look like? So you wind up with a email template that doesn't match your website, and your Facebook page looks a little different, and the colors aren't quite the same, but they're pretty close, and your Instagram is similar, but it's not quite the same, and you don't really have everything locked in. And again, I think those are the kind of things that can start to separate the people just starting that journey from, you're a year down the road and you've learned these hard lessons along the way, and you've learned that these kind of things can make a difference in conversions. They can make a difference in sales, in trust, in brand, in growth, and loyalty, all these things that pay off long term.
Right.
And I know $500 can be a lot in the beginning, or $1,000 can be a huge sum of money in the beginning. But sometimes it's a matter of spending the money in the right place at the right time, and really understanding where that value is. And I don't know how to get that message across to each individual starting out, other than all of us in the room, all of us who are involved in the field, helping with the education piece more so than just trying to, throw up something on the experts marketplace or on a website saying, come to us and we'll build you a site, here's a quote. But helping to understand why they should use an expert versus
Where's the
just,
value?
Yeah, because that value is there, and it's really, really missed. There are so many websites that have been, and brands launched in this last year, and so many of them aren't very good, unfortunately. And these businesses are
And
struggling.
they could be good.
They could be good. There's some great entrepreneurs, and there's some great business ideas up there. It's just a matter of really giving the tools to succeed. Yeah, absolutely. Hi there.
Are you going to allow some time for questions like right now?
You got it. You're up. Fire away.
So, Katrina,
Hi.
we know you're on Spotify. I'm assuming you are or will be on Instagram and Facebook and similar
Yes.
websites. Neither of you have a video on your own website.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about some just promotional video that shows off your soaps or your clothes.
Yeah.
I'm talking about something 2, 3, 4 minutes, what I call a mini infomercial, where you ask for the money, where you ask for the sale.
Yeah.
Okay? So you pick a product, or you just give them a discount, whatever, but you ask for the sale. You do a video that asks for the sale. Why not that?
It's such a good question because I want that so bad.
Okay, I'll do it for you.
Okay, cool. We have
That's on our actual list for what we want on
just-
the new site.
and it kind of goes back to education. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know where to start. Do I have to get the girls?
And you know
Do I
what's
have to get
actually
the
funny about
yeah.
this is when I did launch, we were trying to implement this video, and it looked so bad because it wouldn't autoplay. It wouldn't, that was really, no, this was seriously the issue because that was the first thing. I have references for examples of sites that I really loved. And I said, I loved how they have like this kind of lifestyle video. And when we were trying to literally, this was the issue, was it would not autoplay. You would have to click it, then it went to a separate browser, which went to YouTube, which looked tacky. So I was like, forget it, no video.
Yeah, I had
That's
a video on
literally-
my site too, and it was
Yeah.
like a
I
YouTube
hated
link,
it.
and it would link you off.
It goes
and-
off the website, which I didn't want.
Yeah.
And
again-
this goes right to the point of this is why experts exist. I mean, we can do it ourselves and then we can half-ass it and kind of get it done. But this is the reason that at some point we just have to reach out to the right people who know how to do things the right way.
But like you spend the time and the money to make the video, and you spend all this energy, and you have it, and then you put it on your site, and then it doesn't do that little thing that you want it to
Literally
do,
autoplay.
and then you don't even think to use an expert because you just spent so much money doing the content. Where do you go from there? So
But again, if you know, having the best content in the world is not so good if you can't make it work.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Heather.
Hi, what is the Shopify solution for adding video to your site so that you don't have to pull from
Louder.
Was-
Shopify's solution for adding video to a site.
Yeah, so there's a couple things.
What is the Shopify solution for putting video on your website so that you don't have to pull from YouTube?
Yeah, it's a tough one. There are definitely some, I mean, you can obviously go and start hard coding things in. Autoplay is always a big challenge, and depending on different themes and depending on different, preferences, sometimes autoplay has pros and cons, right? We do tend to tell people autoplay is something to be cautious of.
Slow your site down.
Well, it can slow your site down, but you also have to think about people who maybe are sensitive to images, right? Epilepsy or things like this. And suddenly you open a website and something starts blinking and flashing and noise happening and things like this. So, there are definitely things to consider. Hard coding is probably the easiest and best solution, to be frank. You can, there's definitely custom themes that'll have options for this. There are some apps that will allow you to completely embed a video right into your theme. The new Dawn 2.0 theme has functionality to have video. Is it flawless? Unfortunately not. There's still definitely some functionality that I think could be improved in there. But it's a lot better than it was 2 years ago when you had
And the speed rate.
a YouTube link and it took you to YouTube and you had to press play and it was like this 3-step process, and that certainly wasn't any good. Product page, you can upload a video right to it. That's pretty easy to do. Homepage is still where it's probably hard coding is the best way to go with it.
And video is like the new trend. So like
Yeah.
I know for myself and my brand. the
Product can have video as
Yeah.
well.
I want everything on my site to be video at this point now because
Yeah.
it changes it from being
Also
a
loading speeds to think about. I mean, you start having too much video on there and you have to be aware of that. 3D images are great. AR videos, AR images and things like that are also a great option if you're looking for something engaging
Yeah.
to kind of fill in with some of that same kind of touch feel situation of video. Heather, yeah.
Question for Katrina. On the top of your poll are 2 items from Arius, which is not the season. Is there a reason for that strategy?
Halloween which one are you talking about? What link are you referring to?
Crystalbarsoap.com.
Yeah. You said that there's 2 things on the top that,
Our Arius. I was just curious.
what areas?
That
It's-
area's been areas, like the
The horoscope.
That's just the theme of our when it says Aries and Taurus and like all the
Yeah.
different signs. We just launched a collection called Horoscopes, and each product is designed around each of the zodiac signs. So that's how I
It's
brand
not
it.
a zodiac sign that's in for this month. That was all. That's
Oh,
all I
but
was-
yeah, so the theme is like horoscopes. So we did a product for every single zodiac sign. So
Got it.
I know that we're in.
Got it.
Yeah.
So
play
I
on
didn't
words.
hear either one of you talk about sales.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're measuring your success based on traffic, or you talked about, people walking away, but we really measure ourselves on sales. So could you talk about that in terms of your conversion, or what are your key metrics?
For me, it's conversion. So I ideally like to scale out like every quarter. So I need to be doing better than I was the last quarter, right? So I do look at all of the analytics. So the conversion, it's really important, but that's also why, like I said, we added the apps where you can literally raise the conversion and you can see the difference. So actually last month you can see there was like a 2% change, like literally every month. So all of these apps allow you to do that.
I really look at customer return rates, really big for us. So we try and make sure that any customers comes back in. I know that traffic to my site, I have like a ratio of like this much traffic equals this much dollars, and I can kind of tell that based on how much traffic I'm getting, that's how my sales are gonna be. So if traffic is low that day, I know I gotta boost that up. And then the cart value is the biggest thing that I always work on. So each year, I really try and grow it by $5. So it started off as just wanting it to be 25 and 30 and 35, and really trying to make sure that my cart value is increasing and making sure I'm doing every little detail based on like free shipping at a certain rate, making sure the product prices is set up so that we can hit those sales goals.
Conversion's a tough one. I know I'm not the world's biggest conversion warrior. I love looking at things like lifetime value of customers. I love looking at, going back to old school. I mean, at the end of the day, it's revenue, right? It's profit in the bank. And I could give a damn if my conversion rate's 0.18 or 3% as long as that profit's increasing month over month and I'm reaching goals and things like that. And we all know that depending on the price of your product and, conversion rate may or may not tell that whole story without context. I'm sure a car lot probably has a terrible conversion rate, but they make a hell of a lot of profit on that $30,000 sale. So it doesn't always tell the entire story. But I do think conversion rates coming out of COVID and coming out 2020 need to be looked at in a different light. And I think we have to go back to them and try to understand what is the new norm and what is that new average, that old 2% e-commerce conversion rate that we all kind of throw around for so long. I don't think that's really just a solid metric anymore. I don't think that's really a solid thing that we can throw around and hold everybody to, as we've kind of changed customers' behaviors over these last, 18 months, 10 years, whatever hell it's been now for COVID. It seems like a lot longer. But as these buyers' behaviors have changed and people have changed the way they shop and the way they work and the way they spend money and the way they engage with brands and websites, I just don't think we can look at these things in exactly the same way. But I do think lifetime value is something that is sorely underlooked at by most brands.
Hi.
Sorry, Tom.
Well, thank you. And thank you both. It's great to really hear your story, especially as female founders. So congratulations to both of you. My question, tying on to lifetime value, I'm curious now at sort of the stage you are in your businesses, how important is sort of your email marketing, your database CRM? Like how much emphasis are you putting on that?
Someone told me a great piece of news really early on in my business, and it was what happens when Instagram goes down, what happens when Facebook goes down. And we literally saw this, was it yesterday?
Yesterday.
So I work extremely hard to have an email list that is ridiculously big. And I don't think a lot of people do that anymore. And when Facebook went down yesterday, I sent out an email and I was able to have that. So honestly, and I will preach, I think email marketing is one of the best things you can do, and not burning your email marketing too. Like if you send out too much, if you send out not enough, I try and send out sales, and then I send out an email in between that is just education and information so that people also enjoy opening my emails. So it's not just like, oh, sales.
Selling things all the time, constantly, because that will get you unsubscribed.
Yeah, you don't want that unsubscribing at all. So that's really important.
Can I ask you both which email software or platform?
I use SmartMail.
I've been using MailChimp, but it's just too expensive at this point now with how many people I have. And so I just dropped them, and I am now using Shopify email marketing, but I don't think Shopify email marketing is that strong. So I am looking, I think
Smart mail is so good.
Smart Mail?
Klaviyo?
Klaviyo. That's the one I've been looking at, but I just haven't done it
What
yet.
is this myth that email is dead? I mean, I keep hearing this, but my inbox doesn't show that.
I know.
You know, I don't know about you, but I don't think email is dead. Klaviyo is, you know, from my experience with businesses, Klaviyo is kind of dominating the marketplace right now.
Yeah.
Constant Contact has come out with some interesting AI things that we'll see how that all turns around. MailChimp is still relevant for sure. Seguno has gained a lot of traction in the last couple years as kind of a more affordable alternative to MailChimp for those that are still having a smaller marketing list and don't need a lot of automations, and they don't need a lot of bells and whistles and things like that.
Yeah.
But Klaviyo is still kind of the big boy on the block for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to make a point to the video.
Yeah.
The
Autoplay.
So one of the apps that I really love is Shogun, and the great thing about that is you can do a auto video. The problem though is you might get a higher bounce rate because it's going to take a longer time to load. But it is a great way to have a nice hero image and, you know, get a little bit of that fun that you probably want to get in there. And the other great thing about Shogun, giving it a great play, is you can test really easily if you want to swap out an image or compare pages. So you can just test for a week or whatever and see what works out well.
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm a big advocate of that, using like a Shogun, a Pagefly, an app like that, testing it out before you hire someone to go in and make custom changes and coding changes into your store.
Yeah.
Testing it first, making sure that it's going to work and do what you expect it to do before, you know, going in and making something that's permanent. I agree. There's some really good tools out there. Yeah.
Thank you, and thank you both. This isn't so much a question, it's just a situation that I find myself in, and see if anybody has any feedback. We went to Shopify off of another platform, and to do what we wanted to do is a very transactional, not branding, but very transactional, direct-to-consumer type site. We ended up having to modify the templates, or ultimately hiring a developer to develop our site, which worked well, except anytime I need to make a change now, I need to go to a developer. I can't just jump into the template and make the change. So, and I'll just echo, you repeatedly said people hate our templates. You know, they see this template, they hate it. Anyway, so it's not a template-based solution so much as a platform that can be modified with HTML, development time, so forth. But I find myself in this situation now where I can't just go in and plug and play a change. I have to use a developer to do that. So is that the situation you find yourselves in?
Yes, but luckily the first person that I've ever had help me with my site, she screen recorded a lot of the things so I could see how it could be maintained. So I had to eventually look back in different files because she actually sent an email like, when you need to do this with the link. So she would screen record almost everything when she was creating the site the first time around. So that honestly helped me, but if not, well, also it was my friend, so I can just go, hey, I really need help with this. But most people don't have that, obviously, like you're saying, because it would have been a pain. Like a lot of the things I couldn't figure out, or I would delete something trying to change it, and I couldn't figure out how to bring it back. It would sometimes just be completely gone. You know, like the Instagram feed showing on the homepage, for example, I could not figure out how to even put it back when I just tried to do a simple change of how many Instagram pictures were on the site.
Yeah.
So even things like that. But luckily, like I said, it was a friend, I could call her, but she did screen record a lot of the maintenance as well.
That is key, and we just relaunched the Shopify Los Angeles site, and in doing that, we hired a developer. But the deal was like, after 2 weeks, you need to be able to hand this off because we can't be going back to you every time we need to change out a photo or something like this. That's just not a long-term solution. So kind of to the same point you did, he basically created us a bit of a guide of this is how we do some basic updates, some basic maintenance, basic changes in there. We have access to it. But at the end of the day, yeah, if we're gonna need some structural changes, something significant, we are going to need to go back to a developer. And the reason I say our templates, I don't want to slag Shopify. I understand the reasoning behind it. It's a balance of letting people who are just getting started have the ability to get started quite easily and get up and running quite easily, as well as functionality for those who are a little more advanced and who are trying to do something a little bit, beyond that first leg of their journey. It's a fine line, and certainly, at some point, I think most kind of grow out of that basic template, whether they use an app or hire an expert or write the code themselves or whatever. And that may be the point where you're at. But to your point, it's definitely a challenge. And then when updates come, whether iOS updates and all these different things happen, you start getting back to that same boat of how do I need to update my theme? How do I need to revise, make changes so that everything displays properly and SEO changes and all these other good things that happen along the way. Yeah, for sure. Yes?
I've worked with a lot of Shopify sites in the past, and something I've noticed is transitioning from Facebook and other platforms is creating your own commerce, basically your own shop within Facebook or Instagram, and getting the transaction straight from the app. Do you see that continuing to be the trend where a lot of people aren't leaving the social app and making the purchase directly there? Is that something you guys are focusing on as far as the customer journey and an understanding there? Just wanted your opinion on that.
Some of that depends on Facebook, but at some point we all know that Facebook's going to try and make that money grab, right? At some point they're going to want to keep all that in-house and keep that money in their own pockets. For now, that is the trend that continues to grow as people want to be omni-channel. They want to make sure that everyone can go to Facebook, shop Facebook, and take it right back to the store and have this smooth, seamless, integrated experience. And that seems to be the way things are progressing. I don't see any reason that's going to slow down, provided Facebook continues to allow that to happen seamlessly without getting in the way and deciding to put some roadblocks up.
Do you design those? Do you help design the e-commerce experience on Facebook, Google Shopping, Google Merchant?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry?
Do you help set those up as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when merchants need, the integration is easy, right? It's just a sales channel, and the experience, the integration of that is actually quite simple to do. If you wanted me to code your site, I'm not the dude for that. That's for damn sure. But for most people, just setting up the very basics of that is so simple that they can create a very basic omni-channel experience with very little understanding of even what that is. I think the challenge comes is when they really want to take that to the next level, and they really want to make that experience something more than just having some products that are also on the Facebook page that happen to be shoppable. That's where it becomes a little more challenging, and that's where they really need help from people like yourselves.
So just curious again, for both of you guys, in terms of your growth strategy, I'm just curious, are you looking at perhaps going deeper in sort of your own Shopify channel? Are you looking to expand, or maybe you've got other touch points, selling in other marketplaces, or maybe even your international expansion?
Oops, sorry.
Touch on what that looks like for each of you.
Yeah, for me personally, we actually started offering wholesale. So it's not just Shopify. We have multiple platforms that we sell, with the wholesale accounts. So we have Brand Boom, all these other different sites. So we don't just solely use Shopify. We use Shopify more for the direct-to-consumer aspect, but wholesale is the bread and butter for us.
I did have a wholesale program, but at the beginning of COVID, I decided to close it actually, and it's been a really great business move for me. I have a lot more control over the visual of my brand, and that has worked for us, and obviously we didn't lose the profit margin when we made that decision. So now our plan is to just really expand the business and grow. We're already a globally established brand. I sell over the globe, but shipping is now probably our biggest issue. So I started the business in Canada and I brought it down to America. And I think now my plan is to now reopen a distribution center in Canada to ship to Canada and anything under the Monarch, because shipping rates are way cheaper there. And we'll probably look at doing that in the next year. And then I'm on the Shopify Plus platform, so with that we'll be able to have multiple different stores. Going into Mexico is our next plan too, so we'll have an entire Spanish product line and site set up probably in the next 3 years. Yeah, so.
That's the amazing part to me. Is like you can start a business from home, and next thing you know, you're, a multinational company kind of thing. It's kind of a crazy thing. But we'll be down here in the front if anyone has any more questions. I don't want to keep I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and certainly Tom's about to take the hook and yank us off the stage, I think.
No, I think I want to thank all of you for being such open books about your businesses, and how about a round of applause for the group?